Daze Before Christmas was a Christmas-themed video game released for the Sega Mega Drive and Super Nintendo. It had an extremely limited release in the Christmas shopping window of 1994. There are many factors that make this game very unique. It is one of the only Christmas-themed retail video games in existence. Most game developers avoid releasing Christmas games as they don't sell throughout the whole year. Think of one of those Christmas compilation CDs. No one is blasting those in July, are they? Despite this, Funcom and Sunsoft thought it would be a good idea. Well, they went bankrupt shortly after. The bankruptcy hurt the release of the game, and thus it was only released in Australia on the Mega Drive and in Germany and Austria for the Super Nintendo. This makes it a rarity and very sought after game in the games collecting scene. Some of you are probably wondering what the game is like. Well, to get straight to the point, it's actually pretty fun. The game can be played 1 or 2 players. The 2-player mode is just alternating turns, so it's not at the same time. I don't think the Super Nintendo could handle 2 awesome Santas at once. I'm playing it 1 player because, well, the only other gamer in my house is 9volt in Game & Wario. Doesn't really count. The game begins with a rhyme, telling you the backstory. I'm not gonna bore you with that. You take control of Santa, who has to defeat evil snowmen with his icy wind power. The snowmen have captured all your elves and reindeer, so you set off freeing them all. They turn into sweet little Christmas presents. You collect these presents to use later. Occasionally, you'll get a power-up that makes you shoot flames, perfect for rescuing those reindeer. Any of Santa's attacks can allow him to open Christmas presents, which contain either something good or bad. Sometimes they contain hats, which is your health bar, or they could have a bomb or a giant rat inside. Opening presents can be a bit of a pain as it's quite random. For a game about Christmas, you'd be surprised to know that during the game, you can collect cups of coffee, which turn you into Santa's evil twin, Anti-Claus. For a limited time. You become invincible, although the length of time you're invincible for, you can change in the options. You won't get hurt by enemies or by falling into spikes. You can attack with your sack. There aren't many benefits to this power-up, as it is harder to hit things with. He should really have his own game, don't you think? Anti-Clause's Anti-Clause. Reject all the legal clauses before time runs out. Feel free to question why I'm not a games developer. At certain points in the game, you can drop the presents you've collected down chimneys across England and Russia. England has hot air balloons and Russia has satellites flying around. Not really sure what that's about. Watch out for enemies that will try and stop you delivering the presents though. Going by the advent calendar, you deliver these presents to the kids on the wrong day. They all get their presents early. Lucky kids. Just don't tell the children that the presents are actually made of rat corpses, eh? The sound effects are alright, nothing too fancy, and the music does have a Christmas vibe to it. It's nothing special, but it fits the theme well. Other things to mention are some of the levels do have awkward design. It doesn't help that you can't see what's coming in front of you, and you have to make lots of leaps of faith, hoping you don't die. This particular issue was common in early platform games, but it still could have been fixed to a certain extent. The backgrounds are nice and are animated, which adds a nice touch. There are some nice level choices, such as boss battles, but as long as you remember the pattern, you'll be fine. Just don't get me started on how easy this mini-boss is. Just look at it. The big top boss battle from Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze shows some resemblance to the clock battle. I'm pretty sure that's just a coincidence. Or is it? The first few levels are quite easy, but then the level Flooded Basement comes, and it has some really annoying moving platforms. You have to be careful on these. The water is rising, meaning the level is timed, and the jumping controls aren't great. The hit detection for the platforms is a bit wonky as well. When you eventually get past this section, which took 2 of my continues by the way, the rest of the game isn't so hard. It would take some practice knowing how to beat the levels. Once you beat a level, you move on to the next, and a screen that is an advent calendar shows you your progress. It's a nice idea, but it's hard to count how many levels you have left. You'll have to take it slow while moving, as you can barely see what's in front of you. If you do get hit, however, you have quite a long invincibility time, meaning that you can recover at a safe distance. One of the main issues with the game is that you can die instantly if you fall down a hole. There are lots of holes by the way, and you can't see them. The game takes source code from another Funcom game, A Dinosaur Story, based on the Steven Spielberg film. Can't say I've heard of the film, but the 2 games are similar in mechanics. Overall, the game isn't bad. There are other platform games in the mid-90s to play. You could play it once and have fun with it, but beyond that, it's not really worth playing. While it may be one of the rarest games on the 16-bit platforms, it's that accolade that makes it famous. Nothing else. While the game may be fun to a certain extent, is it worth the huge price tag it has nowadays? What are your opinions on Daze Before Christmas? Thanks for tuning in to my Christmas episode. Subscribe if you like, and from the Retro British Gamer, I'll see you next year.